former Walmart employees of Reddit, what are your horror stories? Not so much a horror story. I worked in grocery as a stocker. We had just finished a cereal display near the front of the store compiled of about 100 boxes. In comes an older lady, around 60s, driving one of the electric carts. She's looking dead on at the display and promptly rams into the thing. Boxes go everywhere and she starts apologizing over and over and explains that she's legally blind. A customer that was nearby and saw everything asked her how she drove here if she was blind. She responded by quickly turning around and leaving the store. I'm cured. It's a miracle. My mom was a manager at Walmart. She told me about this woman who was trying to steal a prepaid phone. When she got caught by security, she used the knife she was attempting to open the plastic packaging with to cut the security dude after cutting herself. She then went on to scream at him that she has AIDS and now he's going to have it for trying to stop her. We just recently had that happen with a security guard at my work. Our security guard threw this punk out of his car as he attempted to make off with some merchandise, and she scratched him with her nails by mistake. Oops, genuinely wasn't her intention. And he proceeded to absolutely howl and laugh about how she now had AIDS. Freaking savages. I used to do field service for Walmarts in the Portland, Oregon area. The East Portland stores were especially fun. The Wood Village, Eastport Plaza, and Happy Valley stores are relatively close together and we techs referred to them as the Gauntlet. The Eastport Plaza store was especially active, and we nicknamed that one Thunderdome. Every visit, we would witness an arrest or something more exciting or disgusting. Last Christmas, for instance, while Frank Sinatra's version of Miss Leto and Holly was playing, a dude was totally face-planted by some cops after resisting arrest, in the process damaging the automatic doors and knocking over a display. Another time, a tech witnessed the arrest of the hottest looking H ever on 82D Street being cuffed and stuffed in the parking lot. One day, I arrived at Thunderdome and noticed that I could not get to the customer service desk to check in. Several workers were not allowing people to pass, and there were also a number of orange cones marking the restricted area. A quick whiff indicated what my eyes later confirmed. Crap all over the floor. The men's room is right next to the customer service area. Eventually they had to break out the Zamboni machine to finish cleaning up. I had about 10 registers to work on there that day. They beat the heck out of their equipment in that store, and after 2 hours I was ready to take a leak and check out. They still weren't letting anybody into the men's room. God only knows what horrors there must have been. Being cuffed and stuffed in the parking lot. Hey, some people get off by doing it in public. Working there as a cashier since October. Christmas Eve rolls around, and thank God I'm not scheduled to work. Cue phone call from the manager asking why I haven't come in yet that day. I'm not on the schedule, manager. Yes, you are me. I'm not coming in. I wasn't on the schedule. Next day I worked with the day after Boxing Day. Went and looked at the schedule, and lo and behold, someone wrote that I was supposed to work in pencil. I quit shortly after. I worked at Walmart about 13 years ago at one of the few stores left that closed overnight. It was a regular old Walmart, not at all super. I worked overnight, stocking. I liked it. I only dealt with customers for a couple hours before the store closed and then just stocked the shelves. I mainly worked in the automotive department, and the nights would go by really fast. I worked with a bunch of people who were related to each other. There was the dad, Steve, his wife's sister, and his stepdaughter who worked there during the day in the jewelry department. Steve stocked the sporting goods department, right next to mine. This guy was really gross. He would constantly pop over to my section and ask me if I needed help lifting stuff up onto the overstock shelves, and he would make comments about how pretty I was and how if he was 10 years younger he'd date me. Dude was pushing 50 and I was just a 19-year-old girl. I just laughed off his comments, say I didn't need help and that I was perfectly happy with my boyfriend, thank you. One night he decided to tell me how big his penis was. He related a story, a total lie, I'm sure, to me about how one day he was getting out of the shower and his stepdaughter, who was 17, saw him accidentally and exclaimed about how nice his penis was and how she wanted to try it out. I was dumbfounded and I did not know what to say. I just said, oh, well, I gotta get back to work, and kinda shuffled away. A week later he was caught having sex with his wife's sister in the bathroom at work. They were both fired. His wife quit and his stepdaughter continued to work there. Holy crap, you worked at the Jerry Springer version of the store. Mine isn't as bad as some of those here, but it was its own special kind of awful. I worked on third shift for a summer between college years. The Walmart I was in had about 1 hour's worth of music playing over the speakers all night, playing on a non-stop loop. My sleep habits were already pretty fricked from trying to adjust to third shift, but the music is what really did it. I heard that same music loop over and over again, all shift, 5 days a week. When I left the store, I would still hear it running in my head. Then I started hearing it in my dreams. Then, it got so ingrained that I started just dreaming I was working my shift at Walmart. Several days a week, I would have the experience of working an entire 8-hour shift. Then just around quitting time, my alarm clock would go off, and I would wake up and go work an 8-hour shift. I quit a few weeks early at the end of the summer because I was losing my goddamn mind. I sprained my back moving product in the back. At first I thought it was a pulled muscle, and walked towards the pharmacy to try and buy our heating pads and some Tylenol. I made it to jewelry, barely keeping conscious from the pain. I asked my co-worker to call management and let them know I had hurt myself pretty badly and needed to go to the hospital. Management told her to have me go to the back office to fill out paperwork. I blacked out twice going back, and was yelled at for taking so long. I ended up being out for a month and a half for the injury, and got a whopping $24 in workman's comp because the second I got hurt my hours were reduced to 1 hour a week. I hate Walmart. A lot of what I'm seeing in the comments are people who didn't know they had a lawsuit on their hands. Makes me feels like I should start a non-profit primarily focused on informing Walmart employees of their rights. A friend of mine was working part-time at Walmart. He'd been there for over a year, was working any and all positioned shifts they threw at him so he could try to provide for his wife and, unexpected, new baby. He started to apply for any and all full-time positions as they really needed the benefits. One day management took him aside and told him this was not the Walmart way and he needed to make a plan with steps on how to get to a particular position. Apparently, anything full-time is not okay. Walmart wants to help you achieve your specific goals. Once I had a woman who was giving me a hard time about a coupon that was expired. Coupon people are the worst. She refused to give up. She really wanted that dollar off. My line was really getting long and I was getting really frustrated. So I reached in my pocket and pulled out a $5 and said, if I give you a $5 will you give up on this coupon? She got pissed and said, I can't believe you said that to me. She told the CSM but I didn't get in trouble for it. You're right. Coupon people are the worst. I'll start with my grossest. A woman comes in with some panties and said they didn't fit and she wanted to return them for cash because she had already bought the correct size elsewhere. She had a receipt and plopped a Walmart bag down on the counter. Inside this bag were 6 crusty crotched, crap-stained panties that were a biohazard from 6 feet away. Needless to say I did not touch them. I paged the manager on duty and he tells me to just take them back despite being very nasty. Processed the return and she happily left the store with her $8. Those panties were worth a lot more with the crusty crotch and crap stains there they would ever be new. Your manager is a smart businessman. Probably banked $50 to $60 a pair. Easily. You'd be surprised what man will spend on a good pair of stinky undies. Former cart pusher. Had an old lady try to tip me $1 after I helped her bring her newly bought plants or some crap to her car. Told her I couldn't accept it per company policy, and it was only $1 so I mean it wasn't particularly enticing. She then proceeded to roll over in her little scooter mobile and stuff it down the front of my pants. She chuckled dirtily as she rolled away. TLDR. Took cold hard cash down my pants like a stripper. That TLDR is possibly the funniest thing I've ever read and I don't know why. I worked for Malwart 11 years ago for a whopping total of 8 months. I worked the overnight shift as an overnight stocker for Department 8, Pets. The store I worked at had just gotten brand new high-rise shelves installed. They were said to be able to hold over a ton. Well, one night after getting all my regular freight stocked and the overstock put into the bins, my bosses had me pull 8 pallets of Arm & Hammer cat litter. The boxes had a bonus 10 pounds inside, making them nearly 35 or so pounds a piece. They wanted all of those on the high-rises. I asked if they were absolutely sure the shelves would be able to handle all that weight. I threw a crap fit about it because I know I was in the right for being worried. Other department managers who were there also sided with me. They watched over the next couple of hours as I carefully did my job. As I was putting the final 12 boxes on the bottom shelf, I heard a cracking and tearing sound. And next thing I know is I'm buried underneath all of the cat litter that had caused the shelf to collapse. Everybody in the store heard it happen, and everybody was explicitly told not to dial 911 or anything. Frick that crap. After getting all my blood cleaned from my face and cuts patched up, I called my uncle's then-time girlfriend who is a lawyer, told her what had just occurred, and what the upper management is attempting to do. As of today, I still haven't spent all the money I received as a result of going to court over it. Frick Walmart. I'm beginning to wonder if there is some sort of unofficial, since they wouldn't put that crap in writing, policy about calling 911. I was denied it too when I was assaulted by a customer. Freaking Walmart. This was like 5 days ago. I still work there. Went into the men's room and there was liquid crap on the wall and dripping down to the floor, like someone literally shot a diarrhea rocket on the wall. I just pretended like I didn't see it and carried on with my day. That's really the best thing you could have done. I don't even understand how people think it's okay to do this. Open up the semi-trailer full of pet food to be greeted by 5 raccoons staring me down. I'm a full grown man, but that was intimidating. Raccoons can be scary as frick. I would have probably let out a very undignified squeal. Last summer I frequently visited my best friend who worked at the technology counter thing at Walmart. One day when I was there, someone took the biggest, steamiest crap I've ever seen in my life in the middle of the toy aisle. Someone pushed a car through it and it smeared everywhere. My buddy called in a code brown on his walkie-talkie, trying to be a smart butt. Code brown means hostage situation. Hilarity ensued. When I worked at a hospital, a code brown was what your buddy thought it was. I was working at Walmart at the beginning of this year. Aside from weird older men hitting on me, it wasn't that bad. A few weeks before the minimum pay was raised, they decided I needed a new position in the store. I was told that I was great with people and needed to be out helping customers as opposed to checking. Sales associates get paid less than cashiers. They told me that since it was basically a promotion for me, that they would let me keep the cashier pay instead of lowering me to sales pay. I agreed to the job for that reason. Plus new job was full-time. A week later they take me to sign the papers for the job switch and the manager gets to the pay part. He says, "I know we told you that you could keep the same pay, but it's just easier to make it the same as everyone else's. Besides, everyone's pay is going up in a few weeks anyway." So I just agreed. Whatever, still going to be making more. Then my hours start getting cut. I agreed to 40 hours. I was cut down to 25. My manager said he messed up the schedule on accident and would fix it. It continued happening every week. I finally got so frustrated I just left one day and never came back. That type of management doesn't deserve a 2-week notice. There was black mold in the dairy cooler, and I don't mean just a little patch. I mean all the way along the yogurt wall. The manager who was asked to clean it claimed he did. So naturally the higher up management went to check his work. He hadn't even touched it. They ended up having to stand in there watching him disinfect the cooler from top to bottom. This was a well-known druggie and it was too gross for him. A co-worker witnessed one of the day shift meat department workers take a piece of meat that was almost green out of claims and put it back on the shelf. On top of that, for a good 3 months you could smell the expired meat from outside the meat cooler. Oh god, meat claims, the smell from some of the things that come from returns. Why are people returning meat anyway, after sitting there all day? Liver was the worst. Walmart week-long anniversary sale. I bring out a crate of Charmin Ultra Soft that was on sale. A pack of shoppers jump at it. Mum sends her little 5-year-old daughter to squeeze into the crowd. Other lady scratches her and takes her score. Women's washroom. Blood, poop, water and tissue everywhere. A line of pee-off ladies forms in under 1 minute after closing off washroom for cleaning. Some guy throws up in aisle 3. Barricade both ends of the aisle to clean up. People still try to squeeze in even with the smell and the visibly disgusting floor. Collecting carts in a parking lot where driving instructors like to take their students. This was before they had that electronic cart pushing thing. People will stand in the middle of the road as they see me coming in with the carts, all the while dragging little Timmy with him/her. I can't just swerve away from you and that oncoming car, so get out of the way. Some guy makes the perfect spiral poop in the urinal in the men's washroom. Why? How? I left it for the night crew and feigned ignorance. I envy spiral poopers. They have it good. 4 hours into my first shift, I was facing items on a bottom shelf while a co-worker was facing items on the top shelf. She dropped a gallon of Gatorade on my head. Management refused to let me report the injury or leave to seek medical attention. I finished the shift, dazed and in pain. The next day I found out my skull was broken. Officially, since I was not allowed to report the injury, it didn't happen at work. I rage quit. You should have rage sued. Happened before I got hired, but I heard enough about it from co-workers. An elderly couple would come in once a week to go shopping. The old man had troubles walking, so he would kiss his wife and go sit in the fitting room area until she was done. One day they came in and did their little kiss and he also handed her his wedding ring. Like he knew something was about to happen. A couple minutes of sitting there after his wife walked off, the guy collapsed to the floor and the fitting room ladies called 911. One of the department managers of the time was also a paramedic, so he rushed over. The old guy started to cough up blood and every available associate had to come and make a wall of people so customers don't see what is going on. All of these associates saw and heard the guy choking on his own blood, now coming out of his nose and ears, dying on the floor. They were trying to find his wife and no one could find her, and the associates had to wait a half hour for the coroner to get down there and take the body. The associates who saw it still have flashbacks about it. I don't know if I had one particular horror story. Every day was its own horror story. My biggest pet peeve was people coming through the express lane with 800,000 items in their freaking cart. Overweight, middle-aged women were the primary culprits. I don't know why. Some weird sense of entitlement, I guess. There was one lady who could tell I was annoyed. I didn't say anything, but she kept trying to have a conversation with me and I kept giving her short, one-word answers. At one point she was like, "Do you have a problem with Emmy or something?" And I was like, "Well, it does say 20 items or less. We have very little counter space here." She said, "You're the most hateful person I've ever met," which must be an exaggeration, because I never said anything really rude to her, other than to answer the question she clearly asked. I'm surprised she didn't call a manager. Some dude pounded his fist on the counter as hard as he could and screamed, "Come on man, hurry the frick up." I was trying to unroll a roll of dimes to give him his change. He was buying corn dogs from the deli place. Had a guy throw his cigarettes at me because they were the wrong ones. I laid the box on the counter. He picked them up and threw them at me, hitting me in the chest and said, "I said gold, moron." Those were just isolated buttholes, though. Really it was just the monotony and soul-sucking feeling of dealing with slack-jawed idiots all freaking day long. Had a guy throw his cigarettes at me because they were the wrong ones. I laid the box on the counter. He picked them up and threw them at me, hitting me in the chest and said, "I said gold, moron." Working the cigarette register sucks. I feel your pain. Either you have a snoring butthole. I almost got stabbed doing it once. Not really a horror story, more sad than anything. There was this older lady, late 50s, early 60s, I'm guessing, that came in every day and she would kind of attach herself to an employee, usually the same one, and follow them around just talking to them about their day, her day, all kinds of stuff. As soon as I started at Walmart, she attached herself to me. I actually got to know her pretty well. She didn't drive and walked about 20 miles to get to Walmart each day, just because she had nothing else to do and was lonely. Her words. She had 7, I think, cats and 3 pugs. She lived in a house with no floors and no electricity. A co-worker who lived near her verified this. I'm pretty sure she didn't have running water either, just because of obvious hygiene issues. She also very obviously had some kind of mental issues. What was even more sad is that a lot of my coworkers would make fun of her to her face, but she didn't understand what they were doing. I thought it was really fricked up. I felt bad for her, so whenever I had time I would stop and talk to her. It got to the point where she would call the store looking for me on the days she didn't come in. That is really sad actually. Poor lady. One day a woman stole a bottle of perfume and took it to the bathroom. She poured it out into her own container and then proceeded to fill the container with her own pee. She then took the bottle up to returns and tried to return it. To this day I have no idea why my manager gave her the refund. It was very obvious that the woman pee in the bottle because it was still warm. TLDR. Woman steals perfume, returns her own pee, and profits from Walmart. That seems to be a trend in Walmart management. They will accept just about anything as a return. Someone left a baby in a stroller just chilling in one of the aisles one night. I was a cashier at the time so I don't know all of the details. From what I know, authorities got involved and the guy came back after what we think was at least an hour or two, appearing oblivious to what he did wrong. Don't think he spoke much English so it was just a confusing situation all around. Thank God for the guy stocking who was looking out. We're lucky it didn't get any worse knowing how crazy people who come through can be, let alone at night. What's weird was this wasn't even brought up again with my co-workers so I don't recall what ended up happening to the guy. It was just another stupid thing we witnessed. Just read all these wasn't scheduled to work comments. Little lifesaver here. Always take pictures of the schedule, by phone or camera. Next time someone tries to tell you to work, send them the pic. Also, learn co-workers and bosses' phone numbers and ignore calls from those numbers during unreasonable hours of the day. I did this. Take a picture of my schedule, because my boss would change the schedule on me all the time and never call, text, email the change. They would get mad, but I even told them they need to let people know when they change the schedule or they are going to keep having people not show up. So, second story time about the time that I killed someone maybe. I was still working the customer service counter and we had this guy roll in with a very large stereo system box on top of a shopping cart. This guy pushing the cart is very thin, sweating, and quite obviously on something. I know this is going to go badly. There's a policy at Walmart, or the one that I worked at anyway, that electronics must be cleared by someone from that department before we accept any returns. I page electronics to the front of the store and as we're waiting, the guy with the return begins to sway and loses the little bit of color he had. With this, I have a gut feeling that this is about to go really badly so I page security too. Security and electronics arrive about the same time and as they begin to open the box, this guy goes down and begins convulsing on the floor. Security calls 911 and I use another phone to page the manager. Well, the manager arrives and decides that it simply will not do to have a customer convulsing on the floor for everyone to see so he tells the security guy to help him move the guy to the back office. They couldn't move him until he stopped seizing. And once he did, they sat his unconscious body in an office chair and wheeled him back. EMTs arrived a few minutes later and they were not amused that he was moved. They scooped and ran with the guy. When we opened the boxes finally, they were full of rocks. There was nothing in the boxes to return. I guess at least they called 911. Not a Walmart employee but we had a homeless guy die standing up taking a pee in a urinal. He somehow got wedged in between the barriers that separate urinals. Later that night the janitor found him with his crusty homeless dong in his hands, dead. Go on. We had someone pee on one of our stock carts in the middle of the aisle. Someone put it in the back and wrote "Don't use." Peed on by customer. I had the picture of it on my phone for years. I remember the day I quit Walmart was when I realized the position I was in was not worth the money they would pay me. I was a connections center manager. Photo lab also ran toys since there was no manager. I was okay, this is my first job out of high school, not so bad, I'm already a manager. Crap hit the fan after a year. They fired the electronics manager and still no toys manager, so I had to pick up the extra work. All I look forward to was that quarterly bonus we would receive if sales were high, so I worked my butt off to make sure we would get that. Keep in mind this is for the whole store, all department. Sales were amazing, we were in the positives. The quarter ends and we get the bad news that the store didn't meet its sales criteria and no one was getting the bonus. Well crap, the rest of the store must have sucked, so not so bad. Can't be my fault, I worked so hard, maybe people just aren't buying like they used to. Well, the last straw was when I got called into the office to congratulate me on amazing sales in the Connections Center depot, which is where we sold cell phone contracts. Went down like this. Store manager: hey I'm 004, great work in Connections Center, you made the store a total of $26,000 in commission for the month and kept down fraud sales. Me: no way, that's great, does that mean that I get some type of bonus? Store manager: no, the store didn't hit sales criteria. Me: I know, but I over exceeded sales, that should count for something. Store manager: look Wham, it's a team and if the team fails you fail. So if Walmart gave you a bonus, how would that look? I looked at home dumbfounded, I didn't care that I didn't get money, I was just so peeved that they look at everything as a whole. I went in and resigned the next day, didn't give them 2 weeks notice, just said I'm done. 3 days later I get hired by a cellular company where I make 4x as much annually than I would at Walmart. The kicker was that 2 weeks later at my new job the co-manager calls me saying if I'm going to be back from vacation soon. I was like, I quit 2 weeks ago actually, and she lost it. She was, all you need to come in to get your last check. I go in the next day to get my check and the store manager is talking to the co-manager about moving such and such pallet and sees me and says, get grim, I'm 004 to help. I say I'm here for my last check, I quit 2 weeks ago. Store manager: you were serious? I thought to myself, I didn't show up to work for 2 weeks, I think you should have fired me. All I did was smile and say, I'm dead serious. TLDR: exceeded sales quota at Walmart phone center. Quit and was thought to be on vacation. As a cashier we were required to know before we started the transaction if the customer was using WIC. So I am going about my business and I go to start ringing the next customer up and I see cheese, peanut butter, milk, eggs, and cereal. All of these are very common WIC items. So I very nicely ask her if this is going to be a WIC transaction. That was my mistake because she blew up on me, calling me a stupid racist because I just assumed she had to have WIC. She told me that was why I was working at Walmart, because I was too dumb to actually go to college. I was in college at the time, with the school book under my register. It was really embarrassing and I really didn't mean anything by it. I just didn't want to have to call a CSM over to void the transaction if I did it incorrectly. I always felt really awkward about asking if it was WIC for exactly this reason. A lot of the customers in my area with WIC just happen to be minorities. So instead of saying anything, I would just start scanning. They would usually wait to tell me it was WIC until after I was finished. Keep in mind these were customers I had seen using WIC before, so they knew the drill. Ugh. The Walmart my brother works at, they had to close the bathrooms located at the back of the store permanently because folks kept getting high, painting the walls with their crap, ditching security devices and stealing merchandise, throwing used tampons about, leaving dirty needless, ODing and finally dying in them. Now the unfortunate souls are forced to do some of these things in the parking lot. I wasted 3 years of my life at Walmart, primarily in the clothing and jewelry sections. In the latter, people would use our layaway program like a bank. They'd come in, pick out a ring, put $50 down on it, come back a few days later and cancel the layaway to get their money back. It was amazing how many people would straight up tell me I didn't trust myself not to spend it and my phone bill is due tomorrow. This happened ridiculously often. A general horror story is one Black Friday we had people taking ladders out of the hardware department and use them to climb up to the top shelves where our general layaway was stored. We had run out room in the back room. They started ripping open the packages and looting the stuff people had put money down on and just walked off into the store with it. The working conditions, corporate greed in general were pretty bad, but nothing you haven't heard a million times before. Lastly, a second-hand story. Apparently a woman had a miscarriage in the restroom shortly before I started, and the managers had the mentally challenged cart boy got clean it up so they didn't have to hire an outside team to do it. I can't confirm whether or not that's true, but several people insist it was while I was there. I worked overnight stock. A guy came in one night, loaded drunk. I was bent down, filling a shelf full of green beans, and I turned to see him standing there with his dong out. He asked me if I would suck it for 50 bucks. I got up quickly and called a manager. When she found him, he was in the underwear section rubbing himself on a pair of undies. He was arrested. I've posted a couple stories in our Tell Us From Retail, but here's a brief overview. Convinced a crap bird dog abuser to shock himself with a supposedly defective shock collar, complete with dog fur and skin where it rubbed the pooch's neck raw. Was told I'd probably give a good blowjob by a gay couple while I was sitting on the floor sorting over stock video games in the cases. Got to witness and almost be involved in a 7:30 AM shoe brawl. Received a creepy surprise back rub from a customer after showing him where phone chargers were. He walked up behind me, started rubbing, and whispered in my ear, "You made my day," and so much other crap. Fun 4 years. I did not work for Walmart but for a company that serviced the magazines at Walmart among others. I would see people open magazines and spit in them and put them back. I would see people ripping out pages and blow their nose with it. People would stick religious and political pamphlets into the mags. I saw one old lady rip the covers off all the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issues. Another time someone kept trying to hide the ESPN body issues, which was frustrating because we were under orders to have them displayed prominently in a specific spot, so I had to find them and reset them about 5 times. Then of course the people who just rip open the magazines in plastic wrap meant to keep something else inside like a CD or DVD and take the product. The best part is, even though I had witnessed all of this, our company policy was to not interact or try to stop the customer and to just throw away any damaged product and fix everything and go about our business, and to just let the staff at Walmart know. Which I did, but I'm sure you can guess what they would do about it, even with the culprit still in the store. That is seriously nasty. Those people are the same ones that go and crap in the dressing rooms. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.